Hey folks, welcome to the What the Futures podcast, where we break down complex market trends into simple, actionable advice. It's your quick guide to better farming decisions. Hey there folks, welcome to episode 34 of the What the Futures podcast. I hope you're having a great day for whenever you're tuning in. Of course, each and every episode is recorded in the UPL studio, and we're going to give away a little bit of Rockstar later on here this episode, so stay tuned for that. Of course, What the Futures is your weekly dose of clarity in the complex world of crop marketing. Crop marketing in Western Canada is probably what that should say, but I am your host, Ryan Denis. I've spent my career working with farmers across the prairie provinces. I've been a grain buyer, a grain marketing advisor, a grain marketing coach, whatever you wanted to call me back in the day. I've been a bit of an analyst, led a team of advisors as well. And here I am with What the Futures, taking the show on the road, especially this summer, heading over to Ag in Motion here in just a couple of weeks and hanging out in the UPL booth for Tuesday, Wednesday. This week's episode, we are going, and I told you folks, those following the show, I said, I'm going to change it up a little bit. So I've got some new titles for segments. I've got just a bit of a stronger focus on some crop marketing stuff for this week and hopefully moving forward. And I do have Trent Klarenbach joining me for episode 34 of Klarenbach Research, based out of Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, the yin to my yang. I think that's how you say that. And Trent, I wanted to tell you that during our conversation today, but I kind of found it after the fact, the yin to my yang, because Trent is a technical analysis trader. He is one of the smart folks out there across the prairies, looking at all sorts of things that are just a little too complex for me. I'm just not quite there on some of that technical stuff. So I'd have a great conversation with Trent today. And again, I like fundamentals. I go to the easy stuff. Trent focuses on the hard stuff. So hang on for that one. I've got Trent here in this episode. And then from a crop marketing perspective, you know, urea is a bit of a cluster fudge out there. We got to talk about urea a little bit. We need to talk about the StatsCan report because I don't know if you guys can see out in the distance. You know what that is? That's an oat farmer just doing cartwheels. Excited that, hey, the oat buyer, the oat miller got it wrong. And the farmer here is going to be holding a little bit of the cards moving forward because we did not plant enough oats in 2024, according to the StatsCan report. So we'll talk about that. And of course, we got to talk about canola because it actually got exciting after being depressing for quite some time. Of course, if you like the show, if you like what you're hearing, please hit that subscribe button on YouTube or on your favorite podcast host. I post weekly updates. Every Friday is what we aim for. And you can help me out by subscribing on the YouTube channel and hitting that like button. I got a couple of nice messages this week as well. And so I'm here. I'm putting something out there every week, hoping that people enjoy, engage, learn, and execute and make a little bit more money overall. That's the goal here. So I'm putting that out there, and it's just awesome when I get something in return. And that could be a kind message. It could be words of encouragement, whatever it is. It really helps me out. And I got two messages this week. One from Aaron. Aaron says, I appreciate your insight. It's been very helpful navigating this year. And that right there to me is just the cherry on top. That is, the cake, the icing is all putting this all together. But the cherry on top is being helpful navigating crop marketing decisions here in 2024 and in future years. Then I also got just a great podcast. Ryan came in and said, great podcast. And hey, man, it's just a little couple words, right? But I appreciate it. Thanks for hanging in with What the Futures and sending me those messages. Now, before we dive a little further into the episode, let's hear from our show sponsor, John Deere. Has been with us since day one. You know, connections matter. Connections to family and to your land. But what about your tractor or your combine? With John Deere Operations Center, you can connect your machines and effortlessly stream your data into one secure place. Check it out at johndeere.ca. Those guys are going to be at Ag in Motion. They're bringing a bunch of new equipment with them. And honestly, for us right now, we are, I am doing a little data entry, keeping up on the Harvest Profit platform that we're, of course, using on the farm. Made a few more contracts here this week in canola. So, getting those updated in Harvest Profit. All right, folks. Now, a couple housekeeping items for this week. Nothing major. Ag in Motion. It's coming up here in just 10 days or so, a couple of weeks. I'm going to be at the UPL booth all day Tuesday, all day Wednesday. Okay, I've got this little remote studio that we're going to set up and hopefully do a few different things with it. I've got lots of things on the agenda right now, but I'm also hoping to get a couple farmers together and just do a round table. You know, crack a beer, shoot the shit a little bit, and maybe talk farming, talk markets. I don't know. If you're interested in something like that, reach out to me, Ryan at whatthefuturespodcast.ca. I'm also giving away 50 t-shirts each morning, Tuesday morning and Wednesday morning. They say making crop marketing cool. We've got the What the Futures logo on there. Come say hi, grab a t-shirt. Again, let's talk markets. Let's see what's on your mind. I'm also collaborating with UPL. We're giving away a daily prize pack. So that Kuma chair branded with UPL. I've got some What the Future swag in there as well. And hey, UPL is also going to host us for a beer in the afternoon. So I'll get more of those details out to you in next week's episode. Second thing, we launched the Lunchbox crew there back on June 1st, right? It's been just over a month now. And the next intake is not till November, the week of Ag in Motion. So the group we have is the group we have right now. But I want to do a little something for a cause here that's close to my heart. So I know I had a call out there from you to see if anyone needed some support and fundraising efforts for a local, thing going on in your community. I didn't get anything. It was crickets. So I'm going to go back to what I know. I'm going to go back to home base here in my backyard, and we're going to raise some money for basically not the old folks home, but we call it Le Foyer. It's where my grandparents, my wife's grandparents spent some time there as well. It is the care home in our small town. They're doing a kitchen renovation. So we're going to try to raise some money. And how are we going to do that? We are going to auction off a 1-year subscription to join the Lunchbox crew. Again, the Lunchbox crew is weekly emails and videos giving you crop marketing updates, concise recommendations. We've also got a text thing going on now. So there's some text updates going on, some audio updates as well. And if you want to join that group, get recommendations, take your crop marketing to the next level. We're going to set that up here starting. By the time you listen to this episode, we should have the link and everything ready to rock and roll. This thing's worth, about $4,000, just under $3,995. You might get a heck of a deal. All proceeds, all monies raised going to that kitchen reno at the care home in my hometown where my grandparents and my wife's grandparents hung out for some time. So if you have any questions on that, again, Ryan at whatthefuturespodcast.ca will get you more of those details, and you'll see that link in short order. Let's raise some money here. We're going to close that auction on the Thursday of Ag in Motion. So we're going to wrap it up at Ag in Motion, and we will have a new member of the Lunchbox crew joining us here in July. All right, positive moments of the week. I had a pretty quiet July long weekend. And so we did something. I don't know if this is like a little bit, I don't know if people do this anymore, but we rented a hot tub. So we have it out there. You probably can't hear it, but it's right outside the garage here. We've got the hot tub humming along. And we set it up, cool it down for during the day. The kids think they're swimming in the ocean. It's awesome. And then we've been cranking it up at night and hanging out in the hot tub. It's just one of those things, it's just kind of sitting on the grass. It looks a little bit hillbilly, but hey, it's fun. We're enjoying it. And that's my positive moment of the week. I was going to say that I now know the words to Puff the Magic Dragon, which my daughter on the last day of preschool came home with this, Dad, we need to learn how to sing Puff the Magic Dragon. And I was like, what are they teaching you in school? Willa, like what did you leave the last day of school with you? What are we learning? But anyways, we spent most of this week learning about, it's this whole book thing and the song that goes with it. But yeah, next time I go to karaoke, Puff the Magic Dragon I think that's going to be my jam. We'll have to see here, but I'm getting pretty good at it. All right, that's it for positive moments for this week. So next segment here, I'm changing it up. It's now called What's Cool in Crop Marketing this week. And I realize that there's just certain things that I want to talk about from a crop marketing perspective. It might be one topic, it might be multiple topics. Every single week is different. But here's things that stand out to me and just some context around them. And hopefully this helps you on some of your crop marketing stuff. But what's cool, what stands out? Used to call it the hot topic, but I wanted to change it up here a little bit. Just slight tweaks. And I've got 3 cool things here in crop marketing. And I will put a caveat out there that it's not always cool, especially when markets are declining. But hey, we're still workshopping this. That's what we're rolling with for now. But I wanted to talk about canola. I wanted to talk about urea. And I wanted to talk about oats in the stats can. Okay. So we'll start with canola. So canola futures, like just over a week ago, they dropped to what, 600 on the November contract. We're currently trading at like 650 as of recording this Wednesday night. So we're sitting here in the dumps at 600. And we get through the long weekend and holy smokes, this thing's taken off. And what is going on? Well, I'm not 100% certain on what's driving this, with the exception, and I suppose I should ask Trent this. He is interested about canola right now, but I can see the technical balance. Like I can understand that, but there's some talk about tariffs between Indonesia and China, Chinese goods getting dumped onto Indonesia and Indonesia wanting to stop that. And so there was apparently a bit of a palm oil rally with something around tariffs. I tried to dig through to find these articles. I couldn't really find anything. But, what I did find was that the Canadian discount to European rapeseed was pretty significant. And it had gotten a lot more severe here the last couple of weeks, especially last week when it was at 600. And it just made us a lot more competitive. Now, I go through the stats can report thinking, geez, canola acres are higher. Darn it. Like, that's not good. Another 500,000. And we've got some carryover here that's going to be the highest level in the last number of years. Like, it's not bullish. It's a worse number than it has been over the last number of years. So we got a lot of production. And then I read something that says, hey, Canadian canola exports are going to be phenomenal this next year, 2024 and 2025. And I thought, hey, well, that's cool. We're going to produce more, but we're going to export more. But then I started thinking, if we're going to export more, how do you get that demand? How do you get a program together to export more? Especially if we're bearish soybeans, because we're bearish soybeans. Palm oil, I can't find anything that's super exciting on the bull side there at the moment. So how do you get more demand? Price has to drop. So I'm sitting here thinking, okay, that makes sense to me. Like if price drops, gets buyers excited, then yeah, our export program is going to pick up. And that, to me, I don't think that's a tough theory to figure out. And I'm probably thinking about it in way too simple of terms. But yeah, I like this canola bounce. We are close to some resistance levels here, right? There's some guys have said 656, 660, 662, like stuff like that for resistance points. We keep kind of bumping up against that, and we need to break through, and then we can get up to that 680, 690 level. There seems to be room to move there. But what I want to tell you guys is what's cool about this is that you can go and do a little something right now. So you can go out there and sell a little bit of canola. If you're feeling undersold, I think just doing a little sale here is totally fine. You know, if I'm sitting here at 10% sold or something like that, I got very little. Yeah, go ahead and make a sale because we can't guarantee it's going to break through this resistance level and make some, go challenge some old highs here from earlier this spring. And if you want to have your cake and eat it too, you can always sell it and say, you know what, I'm going to sell it. I'm going to reinvest with a call option. I'm just going to put I'm going to put $20 back into this thing so that if it does make its move to 690 or higher, I'm going to participate in some of that gain. Right. But if it falls apart, well, I made the sale. So I think weather is key here. I think crop conditions are key. I think we need to look at this Indonesia, China story and dig through this and see what is actually there. And then also what's rapeseed doing in the discount here, the Canadian canola discount to rapeseed. What does that look like? But farmers, if you were thinking 600 sucked and you weren't super thrilled about that and you missed the boat, well, you haven't missed the boat because you have a chance here to do something. Okay. Second story for me is just urea. And I like talking about fertilizer markets. I'm not looking at the charts. I'm not really I'm taking a peek at the charts, but I'm not using the charts to make my decision on buying. Like what ends up happening is I've worked in the industry for a while and I have people I know and contacts and conversations. And so I was talking with my one buddy who sells fertilizer. He's heavily involved in it. And hey, I know there's recommendations from professionals out there to go and buy this stuff, right? But I've been trying to think through this and the $600 urea, like that's a number, 4600, that's 600, 620, 640, 650. Those are all real numbers. Does it take now, take in the fall, pay when? That's all. It changes things around. But we kind of get the first offers and it just seems like nobody really knows what's going on. And I know that urea is produced in areas with high tension, like Russia. China wants to put an export ban again on fertilizers. Things like that can make the prices climb for sure. But it just seems like a bit of a cluster fudge out there. And I when I look at this in simple terms, like I look at what are people thinking the price of corn is going to do? What is the price of commodities going to do? And if you sit here and I think I'm on record to being a bear still in this market, I still think that we're going to achieve some harvest lows that are going to be a little bit disgusting. It's not going to feel good, but don't worry. Like we'll come back from that. But if commodities are going to drop, then can fertilizer hang in there? And my buddy, if I circle back to my buddy who sells this stuff, he doesn't listen to the podcast. I'm getting the impression that his company, they took a big bite. They bought a lot, thinking that farmers were going to jump all over this. And I get it. I talked to farmers the other day. They bought for just under 600 last summer, fall delivery. And now they're getting offered just over 600. For them, it's like, hey, it's the same as last year. It's not a big deal. But for me, I sit there and say, well, geez, guys, are we good with commodity prices hanging on here to support these margins? Like, I don't know. I don't know if we can get enough sold before to feel good about margins. And so this guy, if farmers don't buy, if everyone listening to this podcast just sat here and said, yeah, I am not buying urea. like you guys are the ones who are going to dictate the short-term direction of this market, not the long-term direction, but the short-term. And when a company takes a big bite and then they start going out there and they don't get that traction, it's a very small market in Western Canada, folks. It's very small. The nerves climb a little quicker. So again, folks, I'm not saying we all got to hold hands here, sing kumbaya, not buy urea. It could still be a good decision to make. I just think there's something going on here that doesn't make sense to me quite yet. I like seeing the fear in one of these retails. And no, they have never been on the show. If you're trying to connect dots, they have never been on the show and they will never be on the show. But anyways, we've been talking a lot of fertilizer here lately. Okay. And then finally, my last cool topic for this week is oats. Like I look at the stats, Ken. I think the barley guy at 6.4 million acres, great. That didn't hurt, right? So that's great. Is it bullish? No, because corn's such a bear yet. But hey, that's good, right? Even malt values were improved here this week. I think some 680s out there for malt in central Alberta. The canola guy, though, at 22 million acres, shoot, right? We got plenty. I already talked about that. Faba bean guy, lowest faba bean acres in like 8-9 years. You're probably sitting okay. Flax guy's doing cartwheels, 500,000 acres, lowest acres in, like we used to put in 1.5 million acres of this back in 2015. Like the flax guy's like, I'm good for this year and next year. Like I'm going to make some money, and good on you. Cause flax, those that grow it, it's an art. It is an art on how you get it in the bin. Beautiful flowers, a great crop, but good on you. You're going to do well. The lentil producers, again, a big number there, but moisture is just has taken over the story. The oats guy, though, 2.9 million acres. Everyone was telling us it was going to be 3.2, 3.4, something like that. The oat millers, you didn't buy your acres, guys. You didn't buy your acres, and now you're banking on yield, and you hope that yield's going to be super impressive so you don't have to sweat as much. But I think you should do a little bit of sweating. I think you should. I think oats that's a good story for the oat guys. Peas, 3.2 million acres. What else kind of stands out here? Oh, Durham was kind of the bad one, right? These are the highest acres. I only went back, what did I go back? 12 years or something like that. And these are the highest Durham acres. There's nobody I can find out there that gets excited about the price of Durham. We have too much competition at the moment. We have a lot of acres now. We have carryover. It's just kind of nasty on the Durham side. And of course, we don't know what quality we're going to get. It's a little bit hard to market, but the Durham producer, you're facing an uphill battle for this next year and probably a couple of years now. But yeah, it's a bit of an uphill battle there. I'll try to narrow that in with Chuck in the month of July here and see if we can find you something positive. And then spring wheat, 19 million acres. I know it says 18.93, but that is what, the second highest in the last 12 years. We produced a lot of spring wheat. We are going to produce a lot of spring wheat. And, thankfully Russia had that little blip that allowed us to do a bunch of pricing here in May because, for spring wheat, folks, it's well, you guys know my marketing thoughts on it. It's going to be short rallies in July that we have to figure out how to sell. 3 and 4 day rallies. Oh, I got to circle back to that because, we just went through it already. I told you guys this was going to happen, and we went through it this last week, so I got to circle back. But the oat guy, you do have a little bit of carryover, but 2.9 million acres. It's going to take time. The oat miller, they're just going to dig their heels in here and cross their fingers and hope that yield does the heavy lifting. But even the U.S. grower planted less oats. It's not runaway bullish. If all the other commodities are falling apart, it's not runaway bullish. But geez, guys, hang in there. We'll see what's going on. Hang in there on the oats. I'm excited for you guys. Okay, before I switch to a different segment here, I just got to circle back on spring wheat real quick. So I said, all right, folks, July, history tells us, yada, 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 that it could be 3 to 4 day rallies, and we have to figure out how to sell this crap. And and, take advantage of these little spikes when we get them. December futures. Okay. December futures, Minneapolis spring wheat. Don't fail me now, internet. Let's do this. We've got a bottom here at 6. Let's call it 620. 620, June 27th. We rally, July 1st. We're trading at 650. We hit 653. Is that exciting for anybody listening to this? No, absolutely not. But we go from 620 to 653. That's 30 cents ish, a little bit more. That is life for us right now, guys. And then what happens today? We drop 8 cents down to 641. Markets are closed for July 4th, 4th of July, as of recording. But it could rally for sure. By the time you listen to this, it could have rallied again. But this is the life we're in for July. And then it gets worse after that. We get that harvest pressure, those harvest lows. Okay. So anyways, folks, I know it's just one tiny example, but that's what I talked about last week, right? So anyway, okay. Let's keep moving on here. Oh, right. Great. Let's give away some product. So UPL, they've been with us here the last number of weeks giving away product. This week, we're giving away Roxar, which is a fungicide to use on your wheat crop. And I asked you for emojis. Let me know how your wheat crop's looking. I was going to package that data up, all the emojis, summarize them, and sell them to the government was my plan. But anyways, I'm just kidding. This is what I got back. I got fingers crossed a bunch of times. And by a bunch of times, let's call that 5 times. All right, fingers crossed. So that's good, but hey, fingers crossed. I got thumbs up a couple of times. I even got smiley faces with dollar signs. I got like 3 or 4 of those. And I only got one, producer saying, hey, it's a little bit too wet in an area and it's not as good there. But yet where he is not far away was thumbs up, looking really good. So, if you want to figure out what that gives you for wheat production out there, let's give it a fingers crossed, thumbs up, and leave it at that. So for week 1, our winner, I'm going to butcher your last name, man, but Ryan, I'm going to say Bouts. He's from Middle Lake, Saskatchewan. He sent in an emoji about his wheat crop. Thanks, Ryan, for participating. We're going to hook you up here with some Roxart. Can't remember the units on that one. But I'll get you, I'll message you and get you those details, and UPL will be in touch. Now we have one more week of Roxar to give away. So for next week, and we're going to get a little more technical this week. So the timing for Fusarium head blight. I hate Fusarium with a passion. It's disgusting. It is so frustrating on the crop marketing side when you have Fusarium issues. So on wheat, we're looking at timing. Okay, so when do we spray Roxar on wheat? And it is when the anthers, it says anthers visible on 50% of heads. Now, always reach out to the experts at UPL to just make sure I'm saying this stuff properly. Don't rely on the What the Futures podcast to make your spraying timing decisions. But let's just use the percentage number. That's what I'm looking for this week. Anthers visible on 50% of the heads. That is your timing to apply Roxar to protect or suppress, I think is the word they use, against Fusarium head blight. Text me in that number, 1-855-606-1889. That is the percentage I'm looking for. When do you spray this stuff? Or you can email Ryan at whatthefuturespodcast.ca. Do that by Wednesday. We'll be giving this stuff away next week. All right, folks. We're going to go and talk with Trent Klarenbach, the yin to my yang. And Trent and I we had a great conversation. We had a little bit of technical difficulty at the end. So what might happen here? I might, in this episode, put a bit more of a condensed version of our conversation in here. and then release a separate episode with the full length of our conversation. I'm not 100% sure what the editors are going to do here quite yet, but my computer kind of crashed at the end. We'll figure this out, but you might get a little bit of not teasers. There'll be some length to it in the episode, but also there may be a full version to follow up as well. Stay tuned for that. But let's talk to Trent Klarenbach. Smart guy when it comes to technical analysis and crop marketing. You got to hang in there. Let's go over to Trent. All right, folks, I've got Trent Klarenbach joining me from Klarenbach Research. I've been looking forward to this conversation for a long time, folks, because I've been paying attention to Trent's work for the last number of years, actually. Trent, you popped up on my social media a couple of years ago, and I kept wondering, who is this guy talking all these markets? But I'm excited to have you on the show. I put a call out maybe a month ago or so to get some like grain marketing experts or, people focusing on grain markets to join the What the Futures podcast. And happy that Trent agreed to come on and talk all things markets with us today. So Trent, how's your week going?
Oh, the week's going great here. Yeah, we're just in Saskatoon and the sun's out now, so the crops are growing and things are drying up, and things are going well. The market's somewhat exciting on canola, and see where the wheat takes us here too. So
yeah, well, I definitely want to get into markets, but before we do that, so I caught an episode, Dan Aberhart, Growing the Future, his podcast. I caught your episode on there, which is great and very well done. So shout out to you and Dan for that one. But I wanted to just talk about your background a little bit. What have you done throughout your career? Where have you been? Where'd you come from? And what's keeping you excited these days?
This is a subject I know well, of course, right? But I grew up in a small town called Etonia, Saskatchewan. So that's just 30 minutes inside the Alberta border, half an hour south of Kinnersley. A grain farm. It was basically 50-50. Throughout the 80s, it was 50% Durham, 50% Summerfellow. We had that horrible drought conditions through the early 80s until about the mid 90s. I was always interested in grain marketing. So my mom and dad, they had the Grain News, Country Guide, the Western Producer. Every week they'd come to the kitchen table, and I would spend my time reading them. So I was always interested in grain marketing, but I wasn't interested in farming. There was no encouragement at that time to farm. It was a very difficult time. So university. Yeah, second year I joined agricultural economics program at the U of S. I had some roommates who were excited about farming. They had, successful operations and some opportunity there.
Yeah.
And I decided that I wanted to farm. And then we came home to farm, and we ended up we're lease operators of Somerville Farms, those blue and silver stemmies going down the road. And that exposed me to other parts of the area where, outside of West Central Saskatchewan, where there was hogs and livestock and feedlots and special crops and whatnot. So I became really interested in that side of the market and inside of the industry where there's opportunities. So I decided to farm and got some opportunity to start farming, but there was growing the wheat board crops. You just couldn't cash flow an operation.
Yeah.
So I was looking at everything, and a buddy of mine got me involved with coriander and Kabuli chickpeas, and that coriander was a good crop to grow. Kabuli chickpeas, that's an interesting one. The first year he shows you the possibilities, and the second year we get with the frost and a bunch of green seed. Anyways, farming. Went farming on my own, undercapitalized, zero to no profit situation, and capitulated, I would say, about 2006. And if I could have read a chart back then, Ryan, I might have saw some light at the end of the tunnel.
Right. Yep.
And I look at that Chicago, look at that Chicago wheat chart and think, man, this is the time to enter, not the time to exit, right?
Yeah.
Anyways, that turned out to be a great thing for me. There's no regrets at this point in my life of how that turned out.
Yeah.
And from there, I went environmental consulting and had the opportunity to buy the business, bought it, grew it, had an exit on it. And the last 8 years, after my son introduced me to technical analysis, I just been building my abilities and my strategies and my strengths, and got to area of proficiency where I felt that there's an information gap in grain marketing.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't see a lot of technical analysis out there in Canadian markets, and I felt there's an opportunity there to help farmers with their marketing and provide a different way of looking at the market, and with the belief that technical analysis will work across all asset classes.
So you said your son got you interested in technical analysis? Is that how we'd call it? Like, how does that happen?
Well, it's probably YouTube, right? So my son's I basically told him he needs to go to university.
Yeah.
And I preferred Saskatoon, but he was born in Victoria on the island.
Okay.
So he went to University of Victoria for a couple of years, played junior football the first year out there, and then he didn't want to be in school. And there's a lot of influencers that appeal to 20-year-olds on social media that you can make millions of dollars day trading, and there's usually a Lambo and some scantily clad ladies on a yacht. Right?
Yeah.
That thesis or that idea.
Yeah.
He was attracted to that. And I guess he kind of realized there was opportunities, non-traditional opportunities out there. And so we were on holidays. Took our family to Phoenix, to some relatives down in Phoenix there one Christmas. And he says, Trent, when I get down there we land, let's go for breakfast. I got an idea I want to talk to you about.
Okay.
Go for breakfast and says, yeah, I want to quit university and I want to day trade. And so then
you just said, sure, let's do it.
So I never want to discourage anybody from something, because I learned that I don't really know what's best for them or what the possibilities are, or even what's in their best interest. Ultimately, they know that. So he decided he wanted to take a course in that. He found a course that was somewhat, I really think was credible. And then I had that exit from my business, and I decided, okay, I got time now. Let's explore this. So I found some mentors that weren't posing in front of the Lamborghinis and weren't posing for scantily clad ladies on the yachts. So, and then I realized, there's something to this.
Cool.
And went down that rabbit hole. So he got me into that. Day trading, and then,
For farmers tuning in here, when you talk about technical analysis, is there would you consider there to be like a starting point or a few theories or some terminology to get a handle on right off the hop? Where would you start if you're just kind of getting into being interested in technical analysis? How would you start?
Well, I feel strongly about this. I'm not trying to plug this, but I feel strong. I created a workshop a number of years ago just to help people avoid that pain. And because I spent time on YouTube trying to find this code, right? And I went down all these, I started drinking from the fire hose, and it impeded my growth, I'm sure. And you want to understand trend following. The easiest way to make money in any market is to find a trend and stay on it, and not trend and stay on it. And if you can be disciplined enough to do that, and that trend will happen on the 1-minute chart or the monthly chart or the weekly chart, daily chart. There's always a trend to be found. And the number one thing is to understand trend following. Find some trend following books. Michael Colville's got a great book called, or it's Michael Colville, Trend Following. It's kind of a Bible. Okay. Stan Weinstein's book from 1988 is a Bible. Michael Colville's book, it proves the thesis or the strategies.
Okay.
And I didn't read it in its entirety. I don't need to know why things work or how things work. I just need to know that they work, So,
Yeah.
and Weinstein's book is great. So yeah, those are trend following. I don't feel you should worry about candlesticks, Japanese candlesticks. But get your trend following base. It's like your foundation on your house, strong foundation, and then you can start building up, adding different ideas, different indicators, different candlestick techniques, and everything else.
Is there do you have like a favorite indicator or something that Sunday night or Monday morning, you're looking at markets and it's like kind of the first thing you check out?
So every one of my charts will have a moving average on it. And I prefer the simple moving average.
Mm-hmm.
Now there's different moving averages. Some people like using an exponential EMA, like EMA, exponential moving average.
Okay.
But for me, the moving averages are simply just indications of the trend. And the reason I use a 50 and a 200 period moving average on every one of my charts, whether it's a monthly, weekly, daily, or 30-minute chart.
Yeah.
And they're a good indicator of the strength of the trend. So every one of those charts will have those indicators on there. The anchored volume weighted average price to me is my favorite. It's a great sentiment indicator. And yeah, it's almost a must-have. I'm a Fibonacci guy too, so I put Fibonacci retracements and extensions. I have them on. They're on all my charts.
Yeah.
Charts can get pretty messy, so you kind of pick and choose what you want to display.
A little noisy at times. Yeah.
Oh, it gets noisy. Yeah. You can get a lot of line. So when my son started this, he would show me his charts, and he had a website tracking his progress and his entry points.
Yeah.
And I didn't understand what I was looking at.
Oh, okay.
So I had no idea. Even with an ag degree, I had no idea. And now I can look at a chart and know right away what's happening, what to look for.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm reminded, if my charts get too messy, I'm reminded by my readers or our readers and my friends that I don't understand what you're doing. So I try to explain, provide an educational content, because it can be overwhelming. It's probably just like maybe switching from a red to green paint or something, just a bit. I don't know. There's just a learning curve that if it's new language, it's difficult to understand. So.
For those listening in, I'll get you to talk about it, but it's not, my opinion, it's not loud in your face. You have to do this on X%, hurry up. Talk about your style.
My style?
Yeah.
So what I do is I share how I look at the markets and what I would do in that situation. And I don't know if telling people what to do per se, but I share with what isn't necessary, but here's what I would do in that situation. And this is what my strategy says. It's a sell signal. It's a take profit level.
Yeah.
And I approach it that way. I don't approach the market as a percent sales, as no two farm situations are the same.
Yeah.
For example, when I farmed, I had to sell 100% of my crop as soon as I could.
Yep.
I at 20% sale recommendation was meaningless to me. And I have a number of clients or friends, customers, or readers, I guess, and some of them have no urgency to sell.
Yep.
And they're able to ride the market higher, follow the trend. So a friend of mine started in the industry 20 odd years ago, and the advice he was given that farmers sell for two reasons: cash flow and bin space. So, depending on your cash flow needs, I can't manage. I'm not there to manage your cash flow. I don't know what your needs are.
Yep.
And so my idea is ride that trend as long as you possibly can. If the price is going up, ride it as long as you can. And then what I try to do is highlight the first loss. And that's the first loss of the trading term. So when that trend breaks to the downside, it's when you want to get out. And that's what I try to do. And so that might mean selling 100% of your crop or pricing as much as you possibly can in August or September. You might not even be done combining, but that would have been a good call last year. And canola and durum and I made the call on barley. And then other crops, like last year, for example, my green peas, I never actually had a sell signal trigger because it
kept going up.
The price kept going up. And this year, yellow peas was early, I don't know, it was a month or two ago, maybe a month ago, trigger. And, but I mean, some guys, your operation might require those peas to be sold, but my strategy tells you just meet your minimum requirements, and hang on as long as you can in an uptrending market. And then obviously when it trends down, this is your liquidation price. Get the hell out and move on.
On the green pea scenario, did you ever feel like you had to do something at all, or would you just educate your readers to be like, hey, don't worry, I'm still watching this, but it's continuing to climb? Like, how did you tackle that?
Yeah, and it's something I need to probably work on is providing more updates, but I still struggle with too much content type of thing, but I assume people know the market's still going up and the price is still higher. But there's pressure to publish content. Mm-hmm. And sometimes the challenge is how frequent that needs to be or how frequent it should be.
Well, I used to lead a team of advisors, right, in the past, and people are going to cringe when they hear this. But in the bullish markets of 21 and into 22, there was people that were, demanding recommendations. If it was from my advisors or from the farmers they were advising, they were just demanding recommendations, even though the trend was your friend and going higher. They still sat there saying, we got to do something, we got to sell something. And I get that. We all have to put money in the bank, right? But I kept telling the team, like, we can sell, but it's going up tomorrow. Like, there's no change here. So let's figure out a strategy to stay in this market or whatever, because I get it. But there was almost times where there was pressure from the bottom up, from the growers, from the advisors to get those sales and keep those sales moving. And then you'd look back and say, well, geez, why did I sell canola at $18 when I went to 24, right? But it was strange. It happened. It's interesting for sure.
It's an interesting phenomena, and we're talking farmers, but I think we see it in all facts of life. People really want to have others make their decision for them often. Mm-hmm. Often want others to make their decision for them. And, and quite frankly, when the market's going sideways, like look at red lentils for the last year and a half, for example, had a spike last fall, but it's been trading narrow range for a long time. Now I had a sell signal trigger, but it's been going sideways. I haven't captured no alpha on red lentils because there is no, there's no sell signals being triggered. And then same as you're referencing to the trending market that was almost going parabolic in some cases. Yep. I mean, you just have to sell to meet your cash flows and keep riding this as long as you possibly can. That's the strategy. I think hopefully we have another bull run like that, and maybe we can, educate, I guess, better that way. I don't know what you guys, what to do next time, but really just hang on, ride that trend as long as you can. What we want to do.
Yeah. If we want to turn our attention to markets for a second, I'm going to leave it wide open to you. Is there any market out there today that stands out for whatever reason? Is there something that's on your radar today that you could share with us?
Canola. I don't have the chart in front of me at the moment, but it was 652 or 653 this morning, nearby November. But it's, it's of interest to me. Is this the head and shoulders pattern forming to the downside, or are we going to break out through this resistance, go higher? So I'm really interested in that canola market.
Yeah.
I was communicating with Durham grower this morning, and Durham looks horrible.
Yeah, I saw that note on Durham. Yeah.
And it looks horrible. The lentil crops, the lentil prices, there's going to be some convergence with it between the old and the new, likely to the downside. But canola's I got a lot of interest in canola right now. See what the next week shakes out here. So.
Are you watching? One of the big questions I'm getting right now is about, pre-buying fertilizer. Do you watch the fertilizer markets as well?
I do. Yeah. I had a question a couple of days ago about that too. And the fertilizer hasn't hit my downside targets yet on the futures. Now, futures they're an indication, but I think they're the best indication we have. And even though there's little to no volume most days, but there's a bit of enough. But it seems I don't know really what else to go by at this point other than a public market like that. So we haven't hit our downside targets on urea yet. So on Friday, the conversation was the prices come up a little bit, but we're at some previous support. So my idea was I would let this play out for a few more days and maybe another week or so and just see if it continues lower. I think it did come down lower this week since that conversation, but I still have my downside targets that haven't been reached on urea yet.
Okay.
We'll see if that happens or not.
Fair enough. Okay, cool. So if a farmer is interested in seeing some of your work, is there an avenue for them to how do farmers get a hold of you?
Okay, I can be found on social media platforms, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and also X or Twitter as it might be known.
Yeah.
We publish our daily daily market updates in a short 2 or 3 minute video every day. Sometimes it gets to 5 minutes. My website, Klarenbach.ca, is where we have our member area and information about our 2 newsletters that we publish weekly. One is the Klarenbach Grain Report, which is grains and oil seeds, and the Klarenbach Special Crops Report, which is our peas and lentils, canary seed, etc. We also cover diesel fuel, interest rates, cattle, and we publish those non-crop commodities in each of those 2 newsletters also. So there's some repetition there. And not everybody wants both newsletters. That's why we include diesel fuel in both of them, for example. Our member area, we're very excited about. We're revamping that with better aesthetics. That area there, we're updating it with our newer platform. We want it to be a platform for growers and grain companies and grain importers and exporters from around the world can log in there, see the current analysis, see current charts, and we feel that is going to provide great value and utility to the readers. So.
100%. Awesome.
All right.
Well, I appreciate you coming on the What the Futures podcast, and there's always lots to talk about from a markets perspective. So hopefully we can get you back on the show here in short order. And folks, I'll have all the details on how to get a hold of Trent in the show guide. But thank you so much for your time, Trent. I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you, Ryan. It's my pleasure. You're doing a bang-up job with your podcast, and it's quite an honor to be on your podcast and worthy, and considered worthy to be on your podcast. So keep it up. Keep up the good work. I love it.
Well, I appreciate the kind words, man. Take care. Have a great rest of your summer, and maybe I'll see you at Egg in Motion.
I'll be there.
Perfect. See you then.
Okay.
All right. right, folks, Klarenbach.ca. That's where you can get in touch with him. He puts a pile of stuff on social media as well. Lots of good content. You can find him on all the platforms. And go check out Trent. All righty. Mailbag segment sponsored by Pioneer Seeds. Again, we're giving away an Igloo 3-gallon bucket cooler along with breakaway speaker. You can see him behind me on the desk. This week's question was, Ryan, should we be selling new crop canola? 2024 canola. Yes, 1,000 times. Yes. I am a seller of canola. I understand that the canola market could climb another $1 from where we're at today as of recording. But I am securing the bag here, as they say. I am getting some sales on now, and I'm also preparing in case we do break through some resistance and climb up a little bit further. Not putting all my eggs in one basket, okay? And if we can make this next level, puts. I am going to be buying puts. Again, folks, I hope I'm not bearish like this all the time. But anyways, I think I talked about it enough this episode. I'm a seller of canola. You're profitable at these levels. Crops look good. Acres are higher. Carryover's higher. Production, everything put together is higher. How are we going to move this stuff out? We're going to have to fire sale it. So sell now, take advantage of the rally, have fun with it. If you need strategies, reach out to me. Happy to figure something out for you. And of course, lots of experts out there that you can talk to as well. Keep the questions coming, folks. Again, the Pioneer Seed Mailbag, Ryan at whatthefuturespodcast.ca. Let's go here. Let's get some questions going this week. Let's get fired up. I'll see you at Egg in Motion. Throw a question in here. And hey, we might even talk about it when we see each other at Egg in Motion. All right. Last segment here, Eating Your Veggies, brought to you by the Lunchbox Crew. Head to ryandenis.ca to check it out. How can we work together in the future? How can we collaborate? It's all there. Action-oriented items here. Price canola, that's number one. Price canola, extend sales. Easy as that. Again, it can be smaller increments, but if we fail at 660, then you need to be disciplined to make the sale. Okay? So if you're going to say, Ryan, I'm waiting, it's going to 690, I'm waiting. Or it's going to 700, whatever. That's fine. But if it fails, make sure you're there and ready to make that sale. Let's be bullish oats. It's hard. It's hard to be bullish oats right now. It's hard to be bullish anything. But let's be a little bit bullish oats right now. And then, of course, you're out there protecting the crop, spraying fungicide. You're busy. I know you're busy. You're going to have a break here at Egg in Motion. You're going to have a break at the end of July. But right now it's fungicide time on the farm. And stay safe out there as you apply it. But that's my action items for this week. Lastly, if you found this episode useful, folks, please share it with a friend, neighbor, colleague in your local ag community. Spread the word. That's how you can help me out. And I just need to let you know that prices can change from time to time. We record and get this basically organized on Wednesday. By the time it goes up Friday, things can change. So keep that in mind. If you'd like to be a guest on the show, email Ryan or head to the website, ryandenis.ca. And of course, that's where we can connect. That's it, folks. Have a outstanding day or weekend whenever you're tuning in. And I'm out.